Welcome back to the Mulberry Book Drop. July. We are 7 months into this month. What, 7 months into this month? No, 7 months into this year. That was a struggle. Bethany, how you doing?
I'm great.
How do you feel about being in July?
Awesome. It's my birthday month.
Yeah, it is. She'll be 29.
Which actually, I think the day this drops is my birthday.
Oh.
I think. So if today, even if it's not, just, whatever.
Come to the library and just start singing happy birthday.
I'm one of those people. I don't even care about the presents or anything. I love my birthday. Yeah. I really do.
Birthdays are great. Birthdays are so fun.
Yeah. I actually don't mind the aging thing.
No?
No. I just listened to, I may have mentioned it to you. I don't think I've mentioned it on here, but Julia Louis-Dreyfus has a new podcast called Wiser Than Me.
Oh, no, you didn't tell me that.
Oh, okay. So you know who she is, right? From Seinfeld and Veep and all that stuff?
Sure.
Okay. Oh, you have to look her up. She's awesome. Okay. Anyway, she started this podcast, and the whole premise, though, is that she actually talks to women who are older than her. So she's in her 60s, but she's talking to women who are in their, 70s, 80s, 90s, and trying to learn from them, what do I need to know going forward? What can you teach me? And she's talked to some amazing women. One of them was author Isabel Allende. I may have said her name wrong, but that was, a super interesting episode. The one I finished this morning, though, Carol Burnett. And it was just, oh my gosh, I love Carol Burnett, and now I just love her even more. I mean, she is an incredible woman, and to listen to her talking about her life and, I don't know. It's really interesting, the stuff that you can learn from it. So, I mean, the basic gist of this is I actually don't mind aging.
There you go.
I'm, totally cool with it. So, it's kind of fun to see other people out there who are just it's not all bad.
Yeah.
It can be fun.
Well, tell me something good besides that.
Yeah, besides that. Well, so I know, it's actually a couple months past at this point, but I was looking back at photos, and I just had this, great sense of, oh, that was awesome. And it was, we had everybody here, for my son's graduation, and it was really cool to have all the grandparents here. Oh. And, yeah, so it was just, it was neat. Everybody traveled, and I did say before everybody leaves, because, some people had to stay at, hotels or whatever, because there's only so much space in the house. And I said, before anyone sneaks out tonight, I want one big group picture. And so, you got to put up the phone and the timer and all that stuff. And so we took a couple, but, there's one where, I kid you not, everybody is, just laughing.
Aww.
I don't remember what we said. No recollection. But this is the first one since we lived in New York, so it's probably been a good, 10 or 12 years before we've had a photo that had all of the grandparents at the same time. Aww. And so it's just really cool.
That's amazing. That is nice.
Yeah. So what do you have? What's good?
So I know that I've said it, but my brother got married a few months ago, and so I now have a niece, because she's not my brother's, but I absolutely adore having a niece. She's amazing. She's 5. She crushes me in Uno regularly, but she had a ballet a few weeks ago, and just watching her do her thing, and then her tumbling class also had a performance in the same thing, and it was just so fun. She is not stage shy at all.
I love it.
Sis was up there doing some body rolls. I caught those, but it was such a joy. You could tell she was just having a blast. So I'm excited.
It's so cool, you guys all being there for her, too, because, I danced. Yeah. And it's a lot to be, another recital. Yeah. But when you are the one on stage and, afterward, you see who came to see, you remember.
Yeah. And there were quite a few of us. Yeah. And it was so much fun.
That's cool.
Yeah. I just loved watching her.
Aw, I love that.
Yeah. So, has anything funny happened lately?
Something funny happened on the way to our recording.
Okay.
So we were on our way here, and this will relate to our episode. But poor Sarah had, what did you have, 10 pages left?
20.
20? And I said, well, I can drive today. And she said, good, because I really have to finish this. So, so here's me driving, singing along quietly to J-Lo on my own, and Sarah's in the passenger seat reading. And we're at a red light, and I looked over, and I was trying to see what page she was on, and she kind of looks up and sees me looking, and I said, huh. And she said, what? And I said, this must be what my husband feels like whenever he's driving and I'm reading. And then we both just bust out laughing because I do that to him all the time. I read in the car and yeah. So now I understand how it feels, and I know you listen to this, honey. I'm sorry. I love you. I probably will keep doing it.
Yeah, and those last 20 pages were crucial. And we'll get to why later. So, it's cool. So I went out of town a few weeks ago. Okay. With some friends. I mean, by out of town, like I went to Tampa. But I have some friends that live in Tampa. So my other friend and I were like, we're going to go over. We're just going to spend the weekend with them. Have a great time. Some great bonding, friendships. I usually drive. I absolutely love driving. I do tend to drive whenever I go anywhere. Partially because a lot of my friends drive very crazy. I love my life. I want to keep my life. But also, sometimes I've started getting like car sick the past few years.
Oh.
Not fun.
So you're better off in the front seat?
Yes. So even if like I'm not driving, I do prefer to be in the passenger seat. Except that everybody now is like, I get car sick. And I'm like, bruh. So, which is fine. But I literally was like, I was so tired that day. My friend offered to drive, and I was like, perfect. I was like, I don't want to drive. And he was like, no, it's cool. I'll drive. And I think we were actually on Yule Road where County Line meets. Mm-hmm. So we don't really like to go on the interstate anymore. So we were like waiting to turn left to go on to County Line so we could go like drive through Brandon. And so, like you turn left, there's like the median right there. And the light turns green. He starts going. And as he's like turning, I go, I'm so glad that you're driving today. I'm just so tired. It's just, it's been a crazy week, whatever. And I kid you not, as soon as I finish that statement, he hits the curb on the median. And we did a thunk. And we were like, ah. And he was like, are you still glad I drove? And I was like, I don't know anymore. And I was like, we're 10 minutes from my house. And I said, do we go get my car? And I was like, no, it's okay. So, yeah.
Oh, no.
So, timing is everything.
It really is. It really is.
Literally the perfect time. And hits a curb. So, and he does sometimes listen to our podcast. So, if he hears this, I'm so sorry. I didn't say your name, though.
I know who you are, though. Hi.
So, it'll be all right. All right. Well, before we jump into this episode today, let's talk about summer so far.
Yay, summer.
Yeah, we're like over.
It's almost over.
It is.
How?
So crazy. We really do. We planned so long for this, and then we're in it, and then it's like it's over so fast.
It's a blur.
Yeah, and summer we are extremely busy at the library, which is amazing. Mm-hmm. Lots of new families and stuff. So, do you have any fun things to share about the summer so far?
I do. So, well, for my adults, I think the one exciting thing for us is we had a request to learn how to play bunco. So one of my game day for adults, that's what we did. We learned how to play bunco. We had a great time. So we will probably be doing that again at some point with everybody. No, we can't gamble. We are a library, but we still had fun, great conversation during it. So, and then I also loved, we mentioned last month that we do our big events on Fridays, and somebody had told me how much they appreciated the first one. And remember, it was the Polk County Animal Control had come. So this is actually the second thing they've done with us in just a matter of months, because they were also at our Winds and Whiskers event. But what they were showing the kids, their whole program was called Kindness to Animals. So this is the Polk County Animal Control, Kindness to Animals. And they actually had like a puppy with them and a couple kittens. Well, the puppy was microchipped, and I thought it was so sweet. They were letting the kids use the wand to like practice finding the microchip on the puppy.
Oh, yeah, that's cool.
So, and yes, I am an advocate for microchips. I really I think they're probably one of the greatest things that we've come up with, and we know from having the lost dogs show up at the library that it's a much faster way to get them home if something happens. So, I don't know. I just thought it was really cool because I didn't know what they were going to do when they came. Yeah. And so I think...
same.
Yeah. They did a great job. I'm just really grateful that they shared their time with us. Yeah. So, what other ones do you have?
So, I have to tell you what happened in story time this week. So, typically during the summertime, all of our regular programs... We tend to have a lot more kids in those programs, which is so much fun. And with story time, a lot of times, like, older siblings are out of school, so they come and join their siblings in story time. And I love a good hype, like, person. I really do. And I love being the hype person for other people. And let me tell you, I was reading this book, and this kid, I've never seen him before, but he was there, and it was his first time, and he was like my own little hype squad.
Okay.
I'm like reading this book, and I'm like, what do you think about this? And he goes, I think it's great. He's like, and I'm like, does anyone like to dance? He goes, I do. And he's like, do you want to see?
Aww.
And then he's like, yeah, I think we should, he's like, I think we should do that too. And I'm like, this little dude just being my little hype man.
That's awesome.
And I'm like, can you just be here every week?
I love
just
it.
be right here. So, and you know, sometimes like kids are really shy. So you'll be like, does anyone like pizza? That was one of the questions I asked was, does anyone like pizza? You know, you have them raise their hands. And he goes, oh, I love pizza. And then I was like, does anyone like cheese pizza? And, you know, kids are raising their hands. He's like, I love cheese pizza. I'm like, okay, what about pepperoni pizza? And kids are like, I love pepperoni pizza. And he's like, yeah, pepperoni's good. Like, literally, verbatim, this is how he is.
I need to meet this kid.
And then I was like, does anyone here like pineapple? And like a bunch of kids are like, I love pineapple. Like, it's so good. He goes, yeah, pineapple's real good. And then I was like, what about pineapple on your pizza? When I tell you, this kid is like, ew, that's gross. Okay, he didn't sound that surfery, but all these other little kids are like, ew, and their parents are like, it's good. And then I was just like I looked at this kid, and he's just like, ugh, that's so gross. And I was
agree
like,
to disagree.
I was like,
it's awesome.
It's delicious, but okay. And so, you know, it's when you like when someone's like that, and you can kind of give them a little bit.
It's that energy.
Yeah, and you can be not sassy, but a little sassy, but like fun sassy with them, and be like, no, it's actually delicious.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I was really impressed because, so like, if you guys go to those programs, you know that we do them upstairs in the Civic Center in the summer because the room is bigger. We have air conditioning. So we also have a camera, like, so we can kind of keep an eye on you guys, right? So, like, I had it up at the desk while we were working. And I remember looking at the camera, and I was like, oh my gosh, that is a huge crowd. Like, there were so many people.
Yeah.
And then I was like...
There was like 73.
Yeah.
Because we count.
And I looked, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cute. Like, there were kids behind you on the stage dancing.
They were,
like,
yep.
They, you know, and then some of the older kids, like, they found a quiet spot by the door, like, kind of on and under the table where they were, like, just drawing and stuff. And I was like, this is really, like, they just kind of figured it all out on their own, and everybody was happy. I'm like, okay.
Oh, yeah. It was like, I felt like there was a circle around me while we were doing our scarf songs, and I was like, I like this. This is so much fun.
It was cool.
Yeah. So,
speaking of happy, do you remember what else just happened at the library?
What?
So the people that got married.
Oh, yeah.
It was so cool. So we rent our pavilion. It's like the screened-in pavilion. And the gentleman, he had come the day before and asked if he could test their speakers to, like, make sure it wasn't too loud. And I was like, oh, like, we're not an academic library. We're a family library. Like, you don't have to stress about that as long as there's no explicit lyrics. And he was like, oh, no, we wouldn't do that here. And I was like, oh, you're fine. And so then I was joking, and I said, well, what are the wedding colors? And so he told me. And so I told all of our coworkers, and, like, half of us showed up that day in the wedding colors because I'm like, why not? But they did, like, a whole beautiful floral arch, like, on our overlook.
So pretty.
Yeah, so, like, they were going to get married on the wooden overlook thing and then have the reception in the pavilion. It was just really, I don't know. I love stuff like that.
I do, too. Happy. Yeah, like, who knew? Get married at your local library outside the library.
Seriously, though.
So,
I mean, it'd be my dream.
Officiate. I'm kidding.
Oh, my gosh, what if we got ordained?
That would be hilarious. Oh, my goodness.
We're a full-service library.
Right? You just never know. Just never know.
Our reading challenge is going really well, too, so don't forget to hand in those minutes. We've got more prizes to hand out, so please, please, please hand in those bookmarks.
Who doesn't love prizes?
I love prizes.
Right? Mm-hmm. So good.
For sure.
Yeah.
So.
All right, Bethany. Well, do you know what we're talking about today?
Books.
Wow, that was my mind. I'm proud of you.
No, we're talking about suggesting books to other people and sharing books. And I know last month we kind of focused a little bit on stuff that we had read when we were teenagers, but we're adults now and we like different things. So we were talking about picking books out for each other.
Yeah. Okay, would you say that it's easy or hard to pick out books for other people?
It is hard.
Okay.
Until you get to know them. That would be my caveat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'll just let you guys know. Bethany knows me real well. Like, real well. Like, scary well. Oh, goodness. Okay, well, what book did someone, I'm not going to say her name, but what book did someone pick out for you?
Wait, you want to do the one you picked for me first? Or am I picking what I picked for you? Which one are we doing first?
Let's do you first.
The one you picked for me?
Yes.
Okay.
I was like, hold on, I'm confused.
I confused myself too. I don't know what just happened. I got all in my head. Okay, so the other day I had said to Sarah, I just need something I don't have to think about and I don't know what to read. And remember, I was semi-panicking because I actually had run out of books at home.
Yeah, you did.
So like I actually had nothing in my pile at home. And so I knew if I left work without that I wasn't going to have a book. And I didn't have an audiobook on my Libby app at the time. So I had nothing.
And I'll be honest with you guys. I'm not going to lie. When she told me that, I panicked for a second. Because I was like, if Bethany has nothing to read, what about the rest of us?
You're like, she's not okay. So Sarah went over to our new books because we have so many new books that have come in recently.
Yep.
And we had just kind of cleaned up those shelves. And so she was looking through and she picked one for me called If We're Being Honest by Kat Shook. Why did you pick this one for me?
Because it was colorful. I literally looked at the cover and I was like, oh, and I feel like a lot of covers are going to this kind of look. And so I was like, and I read the inside flap and I said, sounds interesting. And I said, why don't you try this one? And she did.
And what's really amusing is even if it wasn't in the forefront of your mind when you picked it up, I think you know me enough to know that I'm a sucker for a cover.
Yeah.
I really am. That's actually unfortunately my thing because sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
But the other thing that I don't think either of us knew when you handed this to me is it actually ticked another one of my boxes.
Oh.
It was a debut.
Oh,
so this was her first book, and you know I'm a sucker for a debut novel.
Yes, she is, folks.
Yeah, so I thought that was kind of funny that it just happened to fall into that category too.
Yeah. Well, did you enjoy it?
I did. Okay. So I ended up giving it a solid 3.
Okay.
Which for me is actually a very good rating.
Yes.
Because I could see people loving it.
Mm-hmm.
I could see people not loving it for various reasons on either end.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, a solid 3, it's the writing was there.
Mm-hmm.
The story was there. There was a little bit of humor because I was there's just been so much going on in my life right now. I needed something I didn't have to think too hard about.
Yeah.
And with this one, I didn't because it's one of those stories where it's there's a funeral, you know that right off the get-go. So Grandpa dies, everybody has to come home for the funeral. And so it takes place over a week. And so there is the grandmother who lost her husband.
Mm-hmm.
There is her children and then her grandchildren. So now everybody's home for this funeral. But they also stay for a week because at the end of the week, they were all supposed to come into town anyway because one of their neighbors that they've known since they were children was supposed to be getting married.
Mm.
And so that's why everybody sticks around for the whole week because it's why would I go home if I have to turn around and come back for the wedding?
True.
So in the midst of that, with the family being that close together for a week, you start learning a lot of things about each other, little secrets, little, finally telling each other little truths.
Mm.
There's a little something that happens in the neighborhood that ends up being kind of the finale of the book that you find out the secret behind it. So it had that little bit of family drama going on, which I also do normally enjoy a lot. But it was fun. And the thing is, with a debut, I try not to judge too much with your debut novel. I actually judge more on your sophomore. So I'm
Makes
curious
sense.
to see what she'll do next because I feel like this was a great jumping off point.
Okay.
And if this is how she tells a story and how she weaves her characters, I'll be really curious to see what she does with her next one. Because my only complaint about this one is there wasn't enough of a character arc, development. I think I was just waiting for somebody to have a really big change, and I know it's only a week.
Mm-hmm.
How much you gonna change in a week?
Yeah.
And so I think that was the only thing for me that was lacking.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but I liked it, so thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Did you have to think too much with it?
I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't. I was able to just kind of relax and enjoy it for what it was.
And that was the goal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
We can check that off. Check mark. All right. So I'll talk about the book that you picked for me, and then we'll go into more about suggesting books for others. How does that sound? Good?
Yes.
Okay. So, because I'm really excited to talk about it, because this is the book that I was finishing as we were on our way to the recording. So the book that Bethany picked out for me was All the Lights Above Us by M.B. Henry. I loved it.
I'm so excited.
Y'all, when I tell you, Bethany knows me and she knows what I love and what I love to read. When you first met me, I really only read one genre, and I feel like you helped me just open the gates to all these other genres.
Oh, my goodness.
So I'm making Bethany's head big right now, but it's okay. So this book is actually a historical fiction book, and I feel like it's been a little bit since I've read a historical fiction book, so it was time. But it's about 5 women during World War II on D-Day. And so all different viewpoints, all different women, all different walks of life, which I found really intriguing because I feel like you were just seeing a lot of everything. And I've read a lot of World War II historical fiction books because that's what I tend to go to because I love reading about World War II, fiction and nonfiction. And I've never read a book like this before. I've never read it from I have read from women's point of view with World War II, but I've never read it about women right in the middle of it. Mm-hmm. Literally in the middle of everything, the bombings, and it was just so, I don't even know if I have the words to describe it. It was incredible.
I'm so glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So it was actually suggested to me by one of our patrons when she returned it. So that was how it was brought to my attention.
Okay.
And so I looked at it and I thought, well, that's interesting. And so I brought it home, not really sure yet if I was going to read it. I had that moment of, maybe I'll just try the first chapter and see.
Yeah.
And as soon as I started that first chapter, I was like, I have to finish this.
Yeah.
And as I was reading it, I thought of you.
Aww.
Because I, too, also enjoy historical fiction, especially like that World War II. But those birds are really loud. Do you ever notice, though, that a lot of times our World War II fiction, it's present day, and then the person goes back and uncovers a mystery.
Yes.
And so that's how you learn about the historical fiction aspect of it.
Yeah.
So, a lot of the stuff that we read, it's almost like somebody researching and going back and trying to, fix something or solve something.
Yeah.
This one was more taking place literally just that day.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's fascinating that we're just going to be in it and we're going to see D-Day from all these angles.
Yeah. 300 pages. I was like, how are they going to write about one day with 300 pages? That's such a long book.
Yeah.
And then it's literally minute by minute what's happening to these women. You have one that's in the resistance. You have one that's working in a hospital. You have one that is propaganda for Germany. You have another one who works under a German officer. And then the last one is a grandmother just trying to get to her daughter and her granddaughter.
Yep.
And it's all these different lives. And then a couple of them actually intermingle together and without realizing it, and it was so good.
It was really well put together.
Yeah.
The other funny thing, I believe this was also a debut.
Was it?
So I'll be really curious to see what she does next.
Ooh, yeah.
Well, it's M.B. Henry. I'm pretty sure. I think it's she. I might be wrong. I apologize if I'm incorrect. But
yeah. I would say I have it. I could look it up.
Yeah. I just thought of that. I was like, it's on the initials. I don't really know what the M stands for. But anyway, I with any good historical fiction, you can always make sure to, when you finish it, you read that author's note, which
So
I love
good.
because then you find out where they got the idea for the characters and that the propaganda.
The radio announcer.
Yes. So she was a real life American who ended up in Germany and was doing the stuff on the radio, and it was trying to tell herself that it's not propaganda. And her story was kind of wild, and I was oh my gosh, I don't like you, and I don't understand how you got sucked into this.
The
and
whole story, I was like, I don't like you.
How you were okay with this, and then when you compare that with, like you said, the grandma who's just trying to get to her daughter and her grandchild, and you're just like, oh my gosh, you guys are all
I'm like, is she gonna make it? Is she gonna find them? So I'm curious because you read it. So what did you rate it?
So I rated it a 3.
Okay.
I did, and it was I'm trying to remember. I did have in here, like, if you're a fan of World War II or historical fiction, this I would put under, like, a must-read category. I thought it was really interesting, the 5 women in different places during that time. I thought it was a wonderful debut, and I'm really curious to see what she does next.
Yeah.
So.
I gave it a 4. I do feel there wasn't a ton of dialogue in it, like, back and forth with people. Yeah. It was just, like, a lot of, like, thought, and I was like, whew, this is a lot, and I think... it took me a little bit longer clearly it took me a little bit longer to get because I was reading it as we were driving up to record. So, which is fine because I did finish it and I ended up loving it and it was really good. It just took me a little bit longer, but also it's 5 different point of views. So I think that's also why it took me a little bit longer. It's just making sure I kept the character straight and stuff.
Yep. The other reason it made me think of you when I was reading it, I don't know if you really paid attention to the cover, but the blurb on the cover is Heather Morris, who is one of your favorite authors. And I was like,
love Heather Morris. Love her so much. She's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Read her too. Oh, so good.
Yeah. But see, that's what I mean. That's why it's easier to... like, hey, have you seen this? Maybe, like the more I know you, because it's like if I know other things that you like and I see something like that, it makes it even more like, oh my gosh, Sarah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, well, with that, let's talk about suggesting books for others. One, Bethany is my go-to person for me and for others as well. So, do you have any gold nuggets to give people?
Usually the first question that I ask people, so like maybe if you are looking for suggestions and you're planning to go to a library or a bookstore or a friend and like ask them, be prepared to answer some of these because a lot of times the first thing that I ask people is, what is the last book or author that still sticks with you?
Because well, that's good.
Yeah,
it's
a very open-ended question, and we get people who read so much that they've just run out of stuff, right? So, like, this question would work for them. But it's also going to work for the person who finally graduated college and gets to read for the first time a book for pleasure and not a textbook. And so, like, the book or author that sticks with them might be something that they read in high school or maybe their freshman year when they had a little more time. Yeah. But it's a jumping off point.
That's good. I like that a lot.
Yeah. So that's usually my first one.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have to start asking that to people because I'm always like, oh, people ask all the time for suggestions, and I'm like, Bethany, help.
Well, it works with our little friends too because you always get those like elementary, middle schoolers who are trying to get their ARs in, and they're just like, I don't know, and it's like, well, okay, let's think about this.
Yeah,
like
I like that.
Did you like Diary of a Wimpy Kid? Did you like The One and Only Ivan? Like, okay, awesome. So you like animals that can talk and think. Let's find you something else. Let's find you something like Ivan. It's a jumping off point.
That's great.
Yeah. Well, thanks. I'm super good at my job.
Now, when you're suggesting books to people and they typically only like one genre, do you try to stick with that genre, or do you sometimes try to get them to go outside the bubble?
A little bit of both, but I think, so in terms of genre, normally in the conversation I try to get them to understand that, like, you can't just tell me you like romance.
Right.
Right, because romance is a huge genre. And so while person A might really like Outlander by Diane Gabaldon, or maybe even Bridgerton by like Julia Quinn, those are historical romance. They're a little extra saucy, right? Yes. But like person B might need something a little lighter, and maybe they're looking more for like a Meg Cabot or an Emily Henry, where it's like a contemporary romance, a little lighter. And then person C, I need her to have a brain, I need her to have her own life, I need her to be, and that maybe like Allie Hazelwood. Like, she's still on my to try list, but I have a friend who absolutely loves her because her main characters are all like women in STEM. Yeah. So they're like, a lot of them have like a science-based aspect to them as well.
Very cool.
And yeah, so it's like, this genre is huge. And so you can't just walk up and tell me you like romance, because then you need a little more information about the type of romance you're talking about. And that's the same for like mystery. right? Like, do you want a cozy mystery that takes place in a library and is all about coffee and cookies and kitty cats? Or do you need a thriller mystery, like, on the edge of your seat, I don't know who to trust anymore, and I'm not sure if I can solve this, and I hate everybody?
Gotcha.
Yeah, so you've got, like, it's kind of like you've got Joanne Fluke, who is baking you carrot cake and chocolate chip cookies, but then you also have Gone Girl, where you just don't like anyone, but you can't stop reading it.
Right.
So, where do you fall? What kind of mystery are we talking about?
That's good. Yo, I'm going to have Bethany write a book about helping people find books. Because that's some good material. That's my sister-in-law. I have when we leave the studio and get back to the library, I have to pick some books out for my sister-in-law because she's on hold, but she's like number 40 something on all these books. And so I was going through and asking her some questions last night, and I was like, okay. And I said, are you open to any new genres? Like, what about mystery thriller? Like, have you ever tried one? And she was like, no. My brother's like, oh, please God, no. And I was like, what? And he was like, we'll have to sleep with the lights on because she'll be scared. So I was like, okay, so no on those. And she was like, yeah. She's like, no, I don't think I would like them. She was like, I don't want to be scared when I'm reading. She was like, a movie's a lot faster. Okay. She's like, a book, it takes me a couple days to read it, or a few days. And so I was like, okay. And I said, well, you've been reading a lot of contemporary romance. And she's like, I think that's where I'm at right now. And I'm like, okay. So I had to go to our library where everything's checked out right now.
Yeah, we'll find her some stuff.
Yeah. But, so I was like, it's okay. I'll get Bethany to help me.
Well, and again, though, like, her life has been super busy.
Yeah.
And so she just found her way back into reading.
Right.
And so, like, her dipping her toes into it, like, this light stuff where you're just kind of rooting for everybody and you don't have to think too hard.
Yeah.
You don't need to world build and do all this other stuff because, like, everything that's happening makes sense.
Right.
And, like, I get that. Like, that's comforting. And you know what? Read that for a couple years, and when you're done on that, then you dip your toe into the cozy mysteries or the, I don't know, family sagas or something like that. Because, you know, you just slowly branch out when you're ready.
Yeah, and I have a couple book titles, going through my brain right now for her. Now they're there. We'll figure that out. So, do you have any other, like, gold nuggets?
Yes, I think it's really important that you understand what you dislike and why. And you shouldn't be afraid to say it.
Yeah.
Because it really matters to us. So, like, when we try to use the word suggest as opposed to recommend. Right? Because just because I loved a book does not mean you're going to love that book.
Right.
And so I'm not going to recommend it to you as being like, this is the best book that was ever written. I'm going to suggest it to you and say, give it a chapter or two. If it's not for you, put it back and grab something else. My feelings aren't hurt. Right. That's totally fine.
I tell that to people a lot. Like, my feelings will not be hurt if you don't like it.
Nope. And that, like, we've talked about it before. That happens in book club. Yeah. Like, one person gives it 5 stars, one person didn't even finish it, and they will tell us why, and we will laugh and praise them for being willing to stop reading, because it's the hardest thing to do sometimes. Like, reading is meant to be fun. Like, unless you're actually studying to be a doctor and you have to finish that textbook, like, you don't have to finish this stuff. Right. And, like, authors, I give you so much praise. It is not easy to write a book. Right. It's not easy to find an editor, a publisher, like, any of that stuff. Like, this is probably one of the most difficult ways to get started to, like, make a living. So there are people out there who are going to love your book, like, even if it's not everybody. So this is always, it's okay to say what you don't like. And some of those conversations are my favorite. So I was trying to think back, like, I'm not going to say anyone's name because I don't want to embarrass anyone, but, like, sometimes when you tell me things that you don't like, it's, like, my favorite conversation. So some of the, like, I'm going to call them the odd ones that I've heard over the years, but that, like, really bring me joy. This came up in my book club once. Too many characters. Like, if you want to have a lot of characters because maybe it's a family saga that takes place over generations, that's fine. But draw me a family tree in the beginning of the book, because if I get confused, I need to flip to the front, double check my tree, and make sure where everyone falls. Because when you name everybody, you know, Joe, Joe Jr., Joe the Third. Like, I need to know who's who and who they're married to, because otherwise I just can't keep it straight. And we just read a mystery recently that had too many characters, and some of them really didn't even need to be in the story. We were like, why are you here? And like if you want to be here, sure, but why do I have to know your name and the name of like your second wife and your daughter? Like, I just don't need to know, because they're not a part of the story. Yeah. Like, now you're just confusing me.
I do think with those, I feel like I have to read those ones faster so I can keep everybody straight. Yes. Because if I put it down and don't get back to it till like 2 days later, I've forgotten who everybody is.
Exactly. And I give my my book clubs, like, we give them those little notebooks. And I've always told them, like, if you come across a favorite quote you want to share with us, write it down. But if the book is a little crazy and you need to make notes and write down your own family tree or whatever, characters, like, that's what this is for. You use it however you need to use it. This is your notebook. Yeah. And so that's what we've come to do. So that's one of my favorites. Too many characters, you guys. That is such a common issue, and it's something that I struggle with too. And as Sarah said, so does she. My favorite, though, I don't do multiple timelines. So we read this book, one of my favorite books, Big Lies in a Small Town by Diane Chamberlain. Okay. It was historical fiction. It had this great story. There was like a art restoration that was happening, and as they were fixing the painting, the chapters were going like flashback, and so you're learning the story behind the painting and what was happening in the town at that time. And then at the end, it kind of all comes together. So every other chapter, right? So you got present day, back then. Present day, back then. Well, my one friend, she got so flustered going back and forth between the timelines that she gave up. And what she did was she read the back then, and then she started again and read the current day. Oh. And that was how she finished the book, so she could have a discussion with us.
Interesting.
I thought that was fascinating. So I do not suggest anything to her anymore if I know that it has multiple timelines.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And the rest of us thought it was easy to follow, but she was like, my brain just, I can't do that right now. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that one was a fun one. And then I also love this one. I just can't read books that take place, insert place, right? So every once in a while we'll get somebody who it's like they just can't handle books that like take place in England. I've never been there. I don't understand the map. I don't even understand where, like, you're walking and you're doing that. I've never been there. Like, they want to read about what they know, where they, like, they can picture it, they understand it. And that's actually pretty common.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I think this might actually be my favorite. Yeah. No series. You guys, like, can't even believe how many times I've heard that one. Like, there's too many good authors out there. I can't get sucked into a series right now because, you know, sometimes if I tell them about a trilogy, that's fine. It's 3 books. It's done. It's over. But if you try to give them an author who maybe has a series and that series has been ongoing and there's 30 books in it now, like, don't get them started. Yeah. Because they'll tell you,
that's a lot.
Absolutely not.
That's a lot.
I get it. Like, there really are a lot of great books out there, and it's too much, especially depending on how they write the series. Sometimes you do have to read them in order to understand what's going on. Yeah. You know, they're not all as easy as Stephanie Plum, where you can jump in and out of whichever one you feel like. Yeah. You know, sometimes you do actually have to go in order. So, I don't know. Those are probably my big ones.
Those are really good.
Well, thank you.
I appreciate it.
Of course.
So, and if you ever need help with a book, you can come visit us and I will help you. But if I can't help you, I'll just push you off on Bethany. Just kidding. I'll ask Bethany to come in and just help both of us. And that way, everybody's happy.
But I think we all do that because, like, our director reads more mysteries. Yeah. And so she's usually my go-to if I get stumped.
Yeah. With mystery, yeah.
Yeah. And then, like, we have another new, well, she's not really new anymore. She's been around.
She's been around. We're almost at her 1 year.
She is a bucket of information.
Yes.
And she likes, you know, she'll say it, like, I like weird books. You know, like, she really likes those, like, drama. I don't know, how do you describe them? Because they're not, like, they're like family drama, I guess. Like, sometimes, I'm trying to think. Oh, that's the one. She read this book called The Truth About Ben and June. And I can't remember the author, so check the show notes. I'll make sure I put it in there. And she had said to me, I really liked it, but I'm not sure if you will because I don't know if you like this kind of stuff. And the whole premise of this book is it really explores a marriage. And I read it, and I loved it too. And I agree with her. It's, sometimes that's dark. Like, we think that we have to read this crazy thriller with a serial killer to go dark, but it's sometimes dark is just in the mundane, everyday, just life.
Yeah.
Right? Because you don't always know exactly what's going on in someone else's head, even if they're the person who is eating dinner with you every night and sleeping next to you. Like, you don't always know, and add into that a baby in postpartum depression, and like you have a really crazy story sometimes. And and I remember she like that was kind of our bonding moment when she realized like, oh, okay, so Bethany likes this kind of stuff too. Like, okay, so we can talk about these books. And so like we both love Kevin Wilson is another author who writes just kind of these slightly out there stories where you're just like, where did you even come up with this idea? Like the one that I read, I think it's called Nothing to See Here. And it was these kids who, when they get like really stressed and frustrated, they actually like combust. So they like burst into flames.
Oh my gosh.
Like, who writes this stuff?
Right.
It was a great book.
Yeah.
It was a great book. And I had put it on one of our end caps, the Ask Us What We're Reading, that one. And someone checked it out, and it was one of the Storytime moms. And she brought it back, and I was like, I have to know, like, did you like it?
Yeah.
And she's like, oh my gosh. She goes, it was really good. And she's like, I was not expecting this book at all. Like, I really didn't know. Like, I saw it on there and I thought, weird, but I'm going to try it.
Those are the best responses.
It really is. So it was kind of, that's the thing. If I can't think of it off the top of my head, or I'm just a little off that day, I have you. I have all the other girls. Like, sometimes I just think back to what patrons have told me, and I go off of those. Like, if I've not read it, but I've heard good things from a few people I trust, I'll tell you about it.
For sure. Yeah. For sure. Yeah. Wow. This is really good.
It was.
I have one more question for you.
Okay.
What are you reading?
Yay! Oh, it's so good. The Sweetness of Forgetting by Kristin Harmel.
Oh, I love Kristin Harmel.
I know you do. Okay, guys. I begged our director to get this book. And I think it was on back order, so we do not have the physical copy, but she was able, like, they did the ebook. Okay. So it's the first ebook I'm reading on my phone. And I'm like, it's so small. But totally worth it. It is 4 generations, Cape Cod, grandma's got dementia, family mystery starts to be uncovered, main character has to go to Paris, like, all these things. There's a family-owned cafe that they run. Ooh. And there's recipes in certain chapters, and they sound so delicious. Like, you're reading them and you can just smell it. My only complaint, if I was to have one, is the youngest generation, the granddaughter. She's almost a little too easy for me, like a little flat. Okay. So it's kind of like, Mom, I hate you. Well, I get it. She's like a preteen, young teenager, but like there's other ways to have that like mother-daughter drama. Yeah. And I wished that had been a little bit better written, but otherwise I'm like so into this book and I love it. And if you guys think the name sounds semi-familiar, but you're not 100% sure, some of you who listen, I've talked to you about it, but she is the author of the Book of Lost Names that we all loved. Yes. So that's that one. And I think Laura's still trying to get us a physical copy at some point if she can, but it's called The Sweetness of Forgetting by Kristin Harmel, and I just love it.
That's amazing.
I love it.
Yeah. Woo.
Yeah. What about you?
Great author. Because I just finished my book on the way here.
True.
It's okay because I have another book with me.
Oh, good.
And it's Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez?
Yes, Jimenez, my girl.
Yeah. Yes. So it's a sequel to Part of Your World, so I'm really happy. I'm really excited to just pop it open and read me a good contemporary romance.
Oh, you're going to fly through it.
So
I'm excited to talk to you about that one.
I'm pumped too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So cool. This was fun.
It was. Oh my goodness. Well, if you have any suggestions, any way that you like to suggest books, or if you need a suggested book, you can always email us at themulberrylibrary@gmail.com, or you can just come into the library. Bethany or I are usually always at the desk, so one of us would be happy to help you. So that's it.
That is all 100% correct information. I guess that's it, guys.
Yeah.
You did a good job.
You did too. Thanks.
All right, guys. We'll talk to you soon. Happy reading, Mulberry.